Niawani, our special guest today, Melrose boys football coach Drew Hatley, also the boys basketball coach there as well. And coach, I can't tell you how happy we are to have you also
You
an
can put that
official
one
with the
next.
NM,
Is it tucked
NML,
under the man?
NMAA as well. And I can't tell you how happy we are to have you with us this morning, coach.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. Great people at ProView, Steve Davis, you,
Melrose.
Ed, Sebastian, all those guys at ProView. I'm excited to be here and represent Melrose High School and Melrose Schools. Man, we got some great kids over here, great administration. I'm excited to be a Buffalo. I'm all in on this deal, and I'm excited to be here. So appreciate you.
Yeah, they're like 8 men.
Coach, you guys are 3-3 in football so far, and I think you're coming off a win against Dulce and on Friday.
Or they might be 6 man.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? You're coming off no, you got Dulce coming up. You beat Tatum 38-6 on Friday night. You want to tell us a little bit about?
We're 3-3 right now. Coach Roy Ball. A lot of people know Dickey over here in this side of the state and other parts of the state. And Dickey's done a phenomenal job of building this football program. And we're fortunate enough to be able to coach his 2 sons right now that are sophomores first right now. And Dickey went ahead and scheduled a really tough schedule over here at Melrose. We played number 1 and number 2 out of Colorado, Mancos, Colorado, and Dove Creek, Colorado. In Mancos, they beat us up in Tierra Maria. And we were pretty competitive 2 weeks later against Dove Creek there at Manal High School in Albuquerque. And just coming off a win against Tatum. They're the defending state champs Friday night. 3-3 right now. Lordsburg dropped down from 11-man to 8-man football. And Coach Hooper over there has done a heck of a job at Lordsburg. They're throwing it all over the yard. Got a really good quarterback and a really good receiver at Lordsburg. And they give them credit. They got on the bus, drove their long road trip down here, and beat us here at our home field, which that doesn't happen very often in Melrose. And so we like where we're at right now. Obviously, we'd like to be 6-0, but we feel like the schedule that we've been provided will provide us opportunities to get better as districts coming and hopefully help us into the playoffs.
Well, we've got, gosh, it's been a quick season, Coach. We've got Dulce coming up, then Clayton, and then Logan, and then Fort Sumner and House to close the season. Tell us a little bit about how playing those 2 teams, you mentioned one from Colorado, playing teams that in Lordsburg, you lost to Lordsburg 46-32 on September 16th. How did that make the Buffaloes a little bit better? I think, Coach, you and I have been around competition for a long time, and playing better teams sometimes makes your team better. How did that help the Buffaloes maybe improve?
I've spent all my career in a 6A football program, and you see some talent. You see some guys that are going to have a chance to play on Sundays and coach some of those guys. Bryce Cable do at the University of Kansas. We had the opportunity to coach there at Clovis. Malik Phillips, who's at NIMI. And so when you start thinking about talent, you think, when you go to the 1A level, you won't see as good a talent. And I'm here to tell you what, if you can play, you can play. We've got some talent over here at Melrose that I think is as good as anybody in the area. When we went and played Mancos, we definitely were challenged physically. They pushed us around a little bit and showed us that we need to get a little bit bigger, faster, and stronger over here and spend a little bit more time in the weight room. And that's good for us to always play that competition. For years, Clovis, when we were there, we always played the teams from Texas. We feel like we want to peak in late October, early November, and definitely feel like the 2 schools in Colorado showed us our weaknesses, where, number 1, I need to improve as a coach, and number 2, where we need to improve as a football team. So I'm grateful to have played those guys. You want to play the best competition you can find, and thankful for Melrose Schools for putting us on the bus and making those long trips and making that available for us.
You mentioned how good Lordsburg is dropping down from 11-man to 8-man. We had Sean Wigley, the Gateway Christian coach on, and Coach Wigley's passion for football comes out of his pores, man. It does. When I interviewed him last week, the guy you could just tell loves football, right? So he explained to us a little bit about the 6-man game. In Melrose, you play the 8-man game. Tell us a little bit about the 8-man game for some that don't know it, because in the 6-man game, Coach Wigley was reminding us the center's eligible. His weightlifting program, they have to prepare, right? A little bit different as far as skill positions, skill sets, things like that. Coach, tell us what's different about the 8-man game than the 6-man game or the 11-man game.
I think a lot of people will be surprised that there's not a lot of difference between the 8-man and 11-man game. I get that question a lot from people. What's the difference in 8-man and 11-man football? There's really not a whole lot. The first time I'd ever actually seen it played was when I came over here and started working with them in the summer, and we had to take out the 2 tackles and then take out 1 skill guy. You still got to have 5 people on the line of scrimmage. If you cover up a receiver, they're still ineligible to go downfield. It's very similar to 11-man. Now, when I watch 11-man, I'm starting to think it looks like they have too many people on the field. But the 8-man game's still a physical game. It's not like the 6-man game where he talked about it being all spread out. I still think you can line up and run the football. We know in 2022 the kids like to throw it around the yard a little bit. So we definitely want to be multiple offensively when we do some of those things. But where I come from and the way I was raised is we're going to line up, run the football, and establish the run. So, you can still do your block down, kick out schemes, your pin and pull stuff. And we're going to try to establish the run against people. We've got some wildcat formations like you're going to see on TV where we're going to have a big, powerful back downhill on people. Definitely want to establish the run and be physical there and hit people in the mouth. But we've got a quarterback right now that we want to throw it. Got some good skill kids. I think that's kind of the highlight of our team is our skill players that are young but very talented. But the 6-man game and 8-man game, I think, differ a lot. But I don't think the 8-man game and 11-man game differ that much. Dale Fullerton, a lot of people out there know who Coach Fullerton is, came over and watched us the first night. We played with Coach Randy Adrian, and they said that was their first 8-man game. And they said they really enjoyed it. And I said, well, that was my first 8-man game too. So it was neat to still have quote-unquote football at the 8-man level where you don't really notice that much difference in the game itself.
Coach, I'll tell you what, it's you mentioned 2 Clovis legends there, and Randy Adrian and Dale Fullerton. I actually called a state basketball tournament with Coach Fullerton many years ago. Much respect for both of them. It's hard for me to believe that was their first 8-man game. That they've been around. When you talk about running downhill, right? You're a disciple of Coach Eric Roanhouse, the Clovis legend, right? And back in the day, even with Coach Bill Gentry at Highland, ground and pound, right? So that's a lot embedded in your football philosophy, but it's wide open too, right? So you're taking a little bit of what you learned from Coach Roanhouse and establishing, putting some in of the wide open game today and incorporating that into your offense.
Yeah, I think we want to be multiple offensively. Try to be as balanced as we can offensively, 50-50 throw run pass percentage to make people prepare for us both ways. But Coach Roanhouse always said 3 things happen when you pass, and 2 of them are bad. We want to throw the football. The kids enjoy that, but I still think you got to be able to line up and run over somebody when needed, and establish that physicality of being able to knock people off the ball. That's the greatest thing about football is we get the opportunity to hit somebody throughout the day where we can't do that in any other aspect in our life. And moving somebody against their will is an awful lot of fun in football. So yeah, we want to establish the run, but if you watched us play, we're gonna throw it plenty.
To do that, to run the way you want to run and establish, you mentioned physicality. You have to control the line of scrimmage, right? You have to control that line of scrimmage. How has your team responded when you've asked them, hey, we're going to line up old-fashioned football and knock them off the ball? You've asked them to do that. How have they responded?
The kids over here at Melrose, I can't say enough good things about the kids. Kids are kids. It doesn't matter what school and what high school you're at. Kids are kids. They need coaches more than ever. They need football more than ever. They need sports more than ever. Whatever these kids have asked us to do, they've just responded really, really well. They've had some really good coaches over here at Melrose, and then here comes a guy that they don't know to ask them to do some things that are new and different for them, and terminology and philosophy, some of those things a little bit different. But the kids have been great. I haven't heard the kids complain hardly at all this season. We run, timed gassers at practice. We push the sled every day. We're in the weight room at 6:30 a.m. Mondays and Wednesdays, like a lot of other people in the state that work extremely hard. But the kids have been great. Respond, ask us, whatever we ask them to do. The kids have been great. They've been raised the right way, and the school's ingrained that in them.
You still talk to Coach Roanhouse. You mentioned that you see him, Brooks Jennings, Randy Adrian, again, some Clovis legends. You talk to Coach Roanhouse still. Does Coach Roanhouse, you ask him any advice now, or does he come and watch the team play, or what's his his ideas about the wide open game today. I'd love to hear that because it was a different game when he played. Like you mentioned, passing it, two things, three things can happen, two things are bad. That was embedded in a lot of people for a long time as far as offensive philosophies went, right? Then all of a sudden things started breaking out, quads to the right, all these different formations. And I said this to Sean Wigley, the Gateway Christian coach, Jim Ottman, the Sandia coach, the former Sandia coach, I use as my color commentator. He says to me, you still got to block and tackle. Doesn't matter. You still have to block and tackle. So what does Coach Roanhouse say about today's more wide open game? What's his opinion of it?
Well, when I played for Coach Roanhouse, that's when 7-on-7 had just started to be a thing in the early 2000s. And we went to Coach Roanhouse and we're like, hey, we want to play some 7-on-7. And I'll never forget, he told me, when they start having running leagues, we'll start going to these tournaments in the summer. He didn't think that 7-on-7 stuff was real football. And it's a little different when a quarterback can stand there without you rushing them and getting after them. So, he understands it, and he gets that we probably need to change with the game. But, man, you know him. He felt like he could gain an advantage formation-wise or scheme-wise in the run game. He was going to find a weakness, and then he was going to make you eat that weakness over and over again until you adjusted. And a lot of times when somebody adjusted on him, he was able to adjust back the other way and run over those people. And Coach Roanhouse, people don't really believe this, but he's a pretty innovative guy. When we would meet and work on Sundays, the guy understands football as good as anybody. He would always tell us that he had forgotten more football than we all know. So, the guy's very innovative. He's all about the mindset of you either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. So he's all about the growth mindset and trying to get better. And, he knew some of us young assistants wanted to throw the ball. Heath Ridenauer, who's the current Lobo quarterbacks coach, was on staff with us at Clovis. And we all wanted to throw it around the yard. And we definitely were told many times by the old man that we needed to understand it was his football program and not ours. So great man, great human. Can't say enough good things about the mentors I've had and the respect for those people. So.
Yeah, no question about it. It almost sounds like Coach Gentry. They would ask Coach Gentry, and he'd say, hey, if you want to see passing, come to the warm-ups. We throw it around plenty in warm-ups. But then he'd go right back to the Delaware wing tee, what he knew best. Coach, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the mentors you had during your life and some of your career, including your officiating career, when we come back after these messages on the Sports Desk.
Service this time was Juliana Salas. Carlisle, perfect.
It's a good one to her counterpart, Romero, who dug it out. Yes. Good swing by Tori Scheller.
What a perfect set and a perfect slam. Leon Gonzalez. Jimmy Taylor blocked up in the front. Maya Baca with number 2 today. Ashley will give it up for Theron Stafford. Houlihan dug it out. Deming played it over.
By Savage, blocked up front. A good one for Villa. This one's off the double block. Sandoval will set it on the far side, but it's blocked. The right side block for Emma Eden.
All right, starting out at 14. Searman's looking that way again. He's going to fire towards the end zone. Finds his man. Fake to Bowie. Quickly on the slant to Hicks, and he spins free, and he'll bring it in for the Jackson Hicks touchdown after the beautiful.
Spartans haven't actually taken a single timeout yet in this game. And an ace for Maya Perea. Certainly not how you want to come back from a timeout that you took. Maya Perea tips it off, and that's essentially another ace. Not how you draw it up, but it works either way. The Sartans now lead by 6.
Look at the scoreboard, and it is 28-10. So as good as they've been, La Cueva just too talented. Wide open, Gabriel Bowie stumbles in for the La Cueva.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
As a mom, I try to make the best choices for my family and our health. That's why I choose Western Sky Community Care. It's a Medicaid plan with quality health coverage and special benefits like Boys and Girls Club membership credit, additional dental benefits, and wellness and support programs. I decide which Medicaid plan is right for us. I choose Western Sky Community Care.
Learn more about Western Sky Community Care by visiting discoverwesternsky.com today.
Hi everyone, my name is Master Sergeant Jacob Groves. I am an Air Force Special Warfare Pararescueman. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Network and New Mexico Youth Sports. Air Force Special Warfare operators are critical thinkers. They maintain a high level of fitness, they take initiative, and they don't quit. For more information on Air Force Special Warfare, contact me at the number listed below.
U.S. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
We here at Clark's Pet Emporium welcome you to bring in your pets. We know that having your pet with you makes the experience of shopping for them even better. And we welcome you to bring your kids also. Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend.
It's live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Today's special guest, Melrose boys football coach Drew Hatley, also the boys basketball coach out there as well. And Coach Hatley, again, we just had a great conversation about winning and what it takes. And you've been around winners, Coach. You've been around Coach Roadhouse. You know, that's just a great example there. You started your career with him in Clovis, and now you're in Melrose. And Melrose does have a winning tradition. I remember calling a football game there, probably a championship about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And you there, Coach? There you are.
Yeah.
And I remember the whole town's there. The cow is on the field, man. The cow, I mean, it's a great atmosphere, right? So Melrose has a great winning tradition. There's no doubt about it. And with your experience, you're adding to that. What was the biggest change from you coming down? Again, you mentioned you're just 25-minute drive from Clovis to Melrose. But how were you accepted by the football team? And you're going to be coaching the basketball team too, as well. How are you accepted when you came in? They've had coaches there that they've been used to having around.
Yeah, one of the very first things I did was get on the phone and start introducing myself to the kids that have been in the program and reaching out to those kids and just kind of letting them know to give me a chance, that I would earn their respect, and that I would work really hard for them and put them first in a lot of the decisions that we made around here, and willing to work together to try to be really good, that it would be more of a democracy than a dictatorship. And so, you know, the kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. So you got to start building those relationships with those kids and and finding time to learn about the kid other than just the athlete. We had a parent meeting in early June. It kind of laid out some expectations and introduced ourselves, and brought my wife to those meetings and just said, hey, we're all in on this deal, and we're going to put you first. And Coach Rowenhouse gave me some great advice and said, hey, just do what's best by your kids and your coaches, and you'll find success. And so you got to give the kids your time. That's how you spell love to kids, is you give them your time. And so I thought I tried to come in and give them an opportunity to see how hard we would work and how much sacrifice we would make for those boys. And the kids have been great. The kids have been great, welcoming me in. And, I'm just so fortunate to be a Buffalo and be over here at Melrose with great administration support and parental support and everything above. So excited.
Got some great pictures that you were kind enough to send. And you mentioned you work out, I believe, every morning at 6:30, right? You work out in the weight room. There's a great picture of the field there at Melrose that you and I remember that field. I remember that. So you're putting in the work for sure. And I'll tell you, you still got a lot of football season, 4 games left. And I wanted to ask you, we're going to talk about your basketball officiating career here in a few minutes too. There's some great pictures of your Buffalo players. But what do you think the Buffaloes have to do? You mentioned Lordsburg's pretty tough. You're 3-3 now. You played some tough competition, which should steal the Buffaloes later in the season, right? Makes you better when you play good competition. What do the Buffaloes have to do to get that blue trophy home?
A lot of times I think we worry about our opponents, and I heard Coach Wigley talk about it the other day that, the people we need to be concerned with right now are the Melrose Buffaloes. Are we dotting the I's and crossing the T's and doing the things on a day-to-day basis that we need to do to be successful? Are we going to class? Are we taking care of our grades? Are we showing up on time? Are we watching our film? Are we doing those things? Instead of looking at the schemes of other people, we need to be concerned with looking in the mirror and us trying to get better on a day-to-day basis. And I know that's all coach talk, but, games are won when the stands are empty. And a lot of times the result of a football game is already decided before you get between the white lines on a Friday night. So we just got to continue to show up and continue to work hard and get better at our scheme and get better at the fundamentals and continue to put in the time and continue to put in the hard work in the weight room and on the field. And I think, we'll be there in the end with an opportunity to make our name known for this football team over at Melrose. And that's no disrespect to those other people. Nobody's going to respect Fort Sumner and Lordsburg and Magdalena and Tatum and Clayton more than us. And so we just need to be concerned about us getting better and give ourselves an opportunity late October, early November.
Here it is, right? Here it is, man. The changing of the seasons, and it's time for playoff football, right? And anytime you see the leaves dropping and the temperatures cooling off a little bit, it's time. And we mentioned that sometimes, Coach, I said this to Coach Wigley, comes down to a call, a bounce of a ball, something that goes your way, right, for a championship run. You never know. And all those things, but you put in the work between the lines. You prepared. That's the thing you mentioned to me. And again, one of your mentors is Coach Rowenhouse, Coach Adrian, Coach Fullerton. You come from a great coaching tree. Coach, we wanted to mention this too, because you've also been a basketball official with the NMAA for many years. You might have to take a step back. We just ran a good picture of you at the one of the state tournaments you've done, and you've done a lot. You've done several state tournaments in your career, but you might have to take a step back because you're coaching Melrose boys basketball. You may not get as many assignments, but talk a little bit about your officiating career. You also played, right? You played basketball as well. Is that right?
No, sir, I did not. Early in junior high and middle school I did, but did not in high school. No, sir.
Okay, but you've been officiating basketball for how long now?
I believe it's 18 or 19 years, something like that. I got hired on over at Clovis early in my career to coach, and Dale Fullerton was the AD at the time, and Dale said, hey, you don't know this, but you're going to start refereeing basketball in the winter with all of us. And so Dale bought my first shoes and first uniform, and those guys threw me in the back seat and started taking me to different places and made sure my bags were packed all the time and threw me a bone to go call some games out there. And, man, you talking about some great people that I've met along the way, the Danny Luhans, the Sonny Cordovas in that region, the Oscar Pyens. I can talk all day about the influence those people have had on my life, and can't thank those people enough. And anytime you get a time to speak publicly, I always try to make sure that you remember where you're from and the people that have helped you get to where you're at. And the officiating community has just been something that is a huge blessing in my life.
I was a part of it for 22 years, and the people that you mentioned know every one of them. And I got a chance to call a couple of games with Sonny Cordova, with Danny V. Hill, with Oscar Payan. I think Oscar is going on his 45th season, something like that. Oscar Payan out of Las Cruces, El Paso area, smooth, right? And there's so many things. Again, the officiating community is a little bit different, right? There's a lot of people, and I said this. I made a speech out there in Las Vegas, New Mexico, for Richard Tripp about the relationship between coaches and officials. And unfortunately, Drew, we're not being replaced by as many young kids as we'd like, right? It's a great career. It's great experience, but a lot of people don't want to put up with the abuse that seems to be getting worse, unfortunately, right? Now, you went through some. I heard it. Of course, they would always ask me, did you hear when I was – we hear it, but you tune it out. You're laser focused on what's going on the floor. You've had an outstanding officiating career, and you're still young enough, and you'll still be officiating when you can, when you get the time to get some assignments. And I'll tell you, being a head football coach and a head basketball coach, you're a very busy man, but you'll still be giving back to the game. It's going to be strange to be a basketball coach and still reffing. So that helps you see different things too, right? You see the game. When I told somebody wanted to do Wally Solada's daughter wants to start officiating, the head coach at Rio Rancho. We had a long talk about it. I had to tell her, don't think like a player. Don't think like a coach. You're not that anymore. It's a whole different look.
Yeah. Officiating, like I said, it makes you learn patience. It teaches you how to hold your temper as a human and handle some situations that get out of control a little bit. It helps you be an effective communicator. I think as an official and as a coach and as a teacher, an effective communicator is huge, and learning how to get your point across to a coach on a bad call or trying to explain a certain scheme to a kid in football. So, officiating is a great career. Hopefully, we all continue to mentor those people in that profession. And, kids need officials, kids need coaches, kids need people in their corner. And I'm glad we have things like ProView and the Mexico Activities Association and things like that do everything they can to raise these kids in our state.
It's important. I think my mentors with officiating were, I used to watch Les Williams a lot. Paul Lawson was one of the best officials we had. Unfortunately, he had to get out of the game early because of his knees, but he was so smooth, right? There's so many things that as an official, I would always practice my mechanics during the winter. Always try to look sharp, right, with the uniform and the shoes. And there's so much that goes into officiating. That's what I was trying to tell Ali Salata, that looking off the ball, hold your whistle, see the play beginning, middle, and end. Get your shooter out of a timeout, right? The little things. And people wouldn't understand that. And I think it's outstanding, Drew, that you've given back of yourself to help out with kids. And it's because a lot of people don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. It's a tough profession, but it's great. You meet great people. You can network yourself out there. It helps you stay in shape a little bit. The pay's getting better all the time. I know Sally's working very hard on all that type of stuff. But man, we need more and more officials for these kids. It's a great profession. Meet some great people. Network yourself out amongst the state. So it's a great give back to your community.
Can't encourage people enough along those lines. Come out and officiate, right? The NMAA could definitely use, especially young kids, right? We need, you're still young and you'll be officiating for several more years, I'm sure. Coach Drew Hatley, the head football coach at Melrose, also the head boys basketball coach, we can't thank you enough for joining us today on the Sports Desk.
Thank you guys for having me. Go Buffs.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.